Yes, we were reading 100 Poems from the Japanese by Kenneth Rexroth, and we came to poem 100, and for some reason we found there was more than 100 poems. So we're trying to solve the mystery of why there's more than 100 poems in the book. But anyways, we're going to read poem 100, which is the connecting point poem to the prior video. The deer.
It would be good if there are another 100. That would be beautiful.
It would be good. It seems there's a bonus poems of the 100, or else we can't read or can't count. Anyways.
100 poems in one morning.
All right, well, here we go. The deer on Pine Mountain, where there are no falling leaves, knows the coming of autumn only by the sound of his own voice. See, his voice has changed over the summer. That's by Onogatomi no Yashinobu. Poem 101. Falling from the ridge of high Tsukuba, the Minano River at last gathers itself like my love into a deep still pool. By the Emperor Yozi. Poem 102. I must leave you, but if I hear the sound of the pine that grows on Mount Inaba, I shall come back at once. Now we're in new territory. I must leave you, but if I hear the sound of the pine that grows on Mount Inaba, I shall come back at once. It's by Ariwara no Yukihira. Lots of poets here. This one says it's 3 Naga Uta from Hitomaro 103. So this must be from the famous poet Hitomaro. In the sea of ivy-clothed Iwami, near the Cape of Kara, the deep sea miru weed grows on the sunken reefs. The jeweled sea tangle grows on the rocky foreshore, swaying like the jeweled sea tangle. My girl will lie with me, my girl whom I love with a love deep as the miru growing ocean. We sleep together, only a few. What he says, he sleeps together, only a few. Only a few what? Only a few. This is the seemingly romantic Hitomaro. Is quite a ladies' man. In the sea of ivy-clothed Iwami, near the Cape of Kara, the deep sea miru weed grows on the sunken reefs. The jeweled sea tangle grows on the rocky foreshore, swaying like the jeweled sea tangle. My girl would lie with me, my girl whom I love, with a love deep as the miru growing ocean. We sleep together, only a few. Are they like swaying together like the seaweed is swaying? Like it's tangled together. They're tangled together like the seaweed's tangled. And then he goes on, wonderful nights, and then I had to leave her. Oh, it was like tearing apart braided vines. My bowels are knotted inside me with the pain of my heart. I long for her and look back. A confusion of colored leaves falls over Mount Watari. I can no longer see her waving sleeves. The moon rushes through the wreathed clouds over the honeymoon cottage. You need to hear that
It's why.
again?
Oh, no, it's okay.
All right. These are longer poems somehow. Of course, the poem doesn't have to be a haiku. It can be longer. On Mount Yagami, the setting sun has left the sky. The light grows dim. I thought I was a brave man. My thin sleeves are wet with tears. We don't have to read it again. That's Hitomaro. The Bay of Sunu in the Sea of Iwami has no fine beaches and is not considered beautiful. Perhaps it is not, but we used to walk by the sea of the whale fishers over the rocky shingle of Watazu where the wind blows, the green jeweled seaweed like wings quivering in the morning, and the waves rock the kelp beds like wings quivering in the evening, just as the sea tangle sways and floats at one with the waves. So my girl clung to me as she lay by my side. Now I have left her to fade like the hoarfrost. I looked back 10,000 times. At every turn of the road, our village fell away, farther and farther away. The mountains rose between us. Steeper and steeper, I knew she thinks of me. I know she thinks of me, far off and wilts with longing like summer grass. Maybe if the mountains would bow down and could see her again standing in our doorway. That's Hitomaro, poem 105. Now we're reading poem 105. When she was still alive, she would go out arm in arm and look at the elm trees growing on the embankment in front of our house. Their branches were interlaced, their crowns were dense with spring leaves. They were like our love. Love and trust were not enough to turn back the wheels of life and death. She faded like a mirage over the desert. One morning, like a bird, she was gone, and the white scarves of death. Now, when the child whom she left in her memory cries and begs for her, all I can do is pick him up and hug him clumsily. I have nothing to give him. In our bedroom, our pillows still lie side by side as we lay once. Continuing, I sit there by myself and let the days grow dark. I lie awake at night, sighing till daylight. No matter how much I mourn, I shall never see her again. They tell me her spirit may haunt Mount Hage under the eagle's wings. I struggle over the ridges and climb to the summit. I know all the time that I shall never see her, not even so much as a faint quiver in the air. All my longings, all my love will never make any difference. Hitomaro. Very good. Somehow we finished with Hitomaro, and now in this book of 100 poems, there's an endless number of poems. A few samples of the more famous haiku. Now we're back to famous haiku. So we're going to read Basho. It says, Autumn evening, a crow on a bare branch. Then he says, a wild sea in the distance over Sado, the Milky Way, Basho, an old pond, the sound of a diving frog. On this road no one will follow me in the autumn evening, Basho. Summer grass where warriors dream, Basho. A blind child guided by his mother admires the cherry blossoms. Kakaku. I'll read that again. A blind child guided by his mother admires the cherry blossoms. Kikaku. The autumn cicada dies by the side of its empty shell. That's Joso. The long, long river, a single line on the snowy plain. That's from Bancho. Why is it a single line?
Read it again.
The long, long river, a single line on the snowy plain. Bancho. See,
It becomes thin.
maybe the river went straight because you know how rivers are windy.
So a line doesn't necessarily be straight.
Well, it could have gone straight. I mean, the rivers usually wind, but maybe it wasn't winding.
It doesn't say a straight line.
Doesn't say, anyways. Wild goose, wild goose.
You said a single line.
A single line.
Okay, because it looks like a line. Thin,
Looks like a line.
With the snow
Long,
on
long
both
river.
sides, with snow wide on both sides.
All right, it could be a line with the snow on it. Then it says, wild goose, at what age did you make your first journey? Isha. In my life, as in the twilight a bell sounds, I enjoy the freshness of evening. Isha. Over the vast field of mustard flowers, the moon rises in the east. The sun sets in the west. Busan. These are the famous poems, probably. No one spoke. The host, the guest, the white chrysanthemums. Yota. Notes. Now they have the notes. Blah, 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 blah. They have Akahito lived during the emperor, and then they say Iman lived in the 11th century, and he talks and writes the notes. Atsutada died in 961. Kisato was 825. Monk Eiji, Abbot Eiji. Hitomaro flourished during the reign of Emperor Momu, 697 to 707. He is generally considered the leading Japanese poet. He is the only Japanese who ever wrote really great long poems called Naga Uta. They're not long poems, but elegies of moderate length. He is a keisei, a deified poet. Deified.
God.
He's a god of poets. That's Hitomaro. We've read him quite a bit. He's very romantic. The poem My Girl Was Waiting For is Hitomaro's death poem. He says the oars of the boat crossing the river of heaven refers to the 7th night of the 7th month. We were reading from 100 poems from the Japanese, which extended by a little more than 100. And now we're coming to the end. It was written by Kenneth Rexroth from simplye, New York Public Library.